And Shammai referred to the mirrors that were used to make the copper mirrors that were used to make the basin that the Kohanim wash their hands and feet in the basin. I'm going to tie that in with Purim and Pesach. So I think I can get started. It's now exactly 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. If someone joins us, maybe we'll just have to recap. But Shammai talked about this verse, I think. One of the parts of the tabernacle, of the Mishkan, was the basin, and it had a stand. And the Kohanim had to wash their hands and feet in this basin. I'll show you a diagram of it. And the verse in Pekudei that we read 2 weeks ago from Shemot 38:8, and he made the basin of copper and the stand of copper from the mirrors of the crowding women who crowded at the door of the tent of meeting. You have the Hebrew here. Vayas et akior nechoshet, ve'et kano nechoshet, b'marot hatzavot asher tzav'u, petach oel moed. Now, can you see there's a problem in this verse? Do you see some problem here? Maybe it's redundancy?
The crowding women who crowded.
Right. Or not just say the women who crowded at the door of the tent of meeting. So it seems to be duplicating, and both in Hebrew and in English. By the way, nechoshet, you see, mirrors in those days were made from copper or bronze or brass, not like today, which is glass with, I think, some kind of silver foil behind the glass. I think that's how they make mirrors. So Rashi, according to Shira Leibowitz, doesn't just bring a midrash or a comment for edification, for education, to teach something. He's always solving a kushia. He's solving a problem, a difficulty in the verse. And if it's educational, that's a bonus. But his main purpose is to solve kushiot. What is bothering Rashi in this pasuk? And you correctly pointed out, it seems to be superfluous, the crowding women who crowded.
You picked a good translation because that reflected the redundancy in the English. But for example, in our JPS, what we call the red chumash, they just glossed over it. They translated from the mirrors of the women who performed tasks at the entrance. Yeah.
Who performed what?
Who performed tasks.
Tasks?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen serving women. I never heard performed. You lose the whole. So Rashi doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Then if you translate it that way, that's why it's good to know Hebrew. But actually, this is my translation. There's other translation. The serving women who serve the. There's other translations, but I want to show the connection with the Rashi. So now Rashi actually takes an earlier. Rashi was about 1100, between 1,000, something like that, but the Tanhuma was many hundreds of years before him. That was a midrash. So I'm not going to bring the Tanhuma. It's very long and dramatic, actually. And Rashi takes what he needs in order to solve his kushia. You know, in the Seder, you have the 4 kashas. Kashas is Yiddish for kushiot. Kushiot is Hebrew for difficulties. So Rashi is trying to solve a kushia. So he cites the Tanhuma, and let's see what Rashi says. He brings a very interesting midrash. Maybe you've heard it before. Natalie? So this is what I'd like you to read dramatically.
All right. The daughters of Israel came along with the mirrors they gazed into to adorn themselves, even those that did not withhold from bringing as an offering to the tabernacle. But Moses rejected them because they were made to satisfy the evil inclination, Whereupon the Holy One, blessed be he, said to him, accept, for these are dearer to me than everything else, because through them the women raised up countless crowds in Egypt. When their husbands were weary from hard labor, they would go bring them food and drink, give them to eat, and take the mirrors. Each one would look into the mirror together with her husband and egg him on with words saying, I am more comely than you. In the course of this, they would arouse their husband's desire and copulate, becoming pregnant and giving birth there. And the Tanhuma Midrash and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. Thus, these were mirrors that raised up crowds of babies. These mirrors were used to make the copper basin.
Now, actually, the Tanhuma is even a little bit more explicit. This is pretty explicit, but the Tanhuma makes it dramatic. Actually, the mirrors, they said, I am more comely than you. And the husband says, no, I'm more comely than you. And then they kind of get into this tete-a-tete. And the Tanhuma is very dramatic. It says that the men, Moses and the men said, take sticks and break their bones. With a nerve, they have to bring mirrors from the boudoir into the holy tabernacle. It's not appropriate. And then God intervenes and he says what he says here, accept those mirrors because they are so dear to me. So now,
so
how,
Shira,
yeah.
the Midrash, I thought the Midrash said that the husbands had basically said that they were either going to divorce their wives or not marry because of Pharaoh's decree, so that they wouldn't produce children. So basically, not only were the women enticing their husbands so that they could have children, but they were sticking it to Pharaoh, which is, I mean, those mirrors were a weapon against Pharaoh.
Wow, mirror as a weapon.
Yeah.
That's a good title. That would be a better title here. You have a good point. I think it was twofold. They had separated because they said no point in raising children. And secondly, they were exhausted. And the mirrors, actually, this is an idea of a commentator today, a modern contemporary commentator, Aviva Zornberg. She says the mirror transforms you. You know, I have, for this lecture, I have copper mirrors. And, you know, when you look into it, it takes away all the wrinkles. It takes away imperfection, makes you look very good.
Good.
So these women were trying to say, hey, first of all, together, they said, don't we look good as a couple? And it kind of frames them. And then he has this glow. And you're not an ugly duckling. You are a prince. And that way they entice them because the mirrors can make you look better. So
why can't we market those mirrors today? So for couples, you know.
I've heard some people have mirrors in their ceiling in their bedroom.
Yeah.
So in other words, how does Rashi solve the problem of the redundancy in our pasuk, in our verse? So the answer is that so now the way you would translate it according to Rashi is he made the basin of copper and the stand of copper. Well, that's the ordinary translation from the mirrors of the crowding women who crowded. But according to Rashi, it was he made the basin of copper from the mirrors of the women who raised crowds of babies who were crowding at the tent of meeting. So he's giving two different meanings to the word crowding, and now crowding is not superfluous because instead of the crowding women, it's the women who raise crowds. And then those women were crowding at the tent of meeting to toss in their mirrors for contributions. Now, I tried to do this tonight. This is how the Kohen had to wash his one hand and one foot. Can you do it? I tried. I can't do it without holding on to something. You might try later. Oh, I can't do it.
He must
Those
have been,
Kohanim were pretty acrobatic.
That would be a good yoga exercise, no?
Yeah. And you see, this is where the copper basin was. You see, it's in the top
Mhm.
Yeah.
center here of the Mishkan. And here it had 2 spigots, but in the temple, it had 12 spigots. You could do more Kohanim. And the Kohanim had to do this before going into service. I mean, it was really, that's why it kind of, Moses was worried that, taking something for beautify, for Yetzer Hara, for the bedroom, and using it to purify your hands. But exactly that's what Hashem wanted. So this is a model of the temple.
Yeah, our Muslim cousins, they do that actually. They wash their hands and feet before every davening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so if you want to revive that art, maybe we can learn from them.
But
And
do they
don't
do it like one hand on one foot, standing on the other foot?
And don't we have the remnant in Duchening?
Right. The Kohanim, right? The Kohanim,
Yeah.
they do
But
that.
the Levim
That's right.
But they
wash
don't,
them.
I don't think they wash their feet. Is there any Levi or Kohen here? They don't wash their feet.
No,
That-
no,
well,
but they
that-
take the
yeah.
shoes off.
Yeah, but a Muslim, so I went to a iftar at a Ramadan meal, a breakfast, and I went and I saw them do that actually in the men's room. They wash their feet actually. Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't know that. Okay, learn something. So let's keep in mind that the mirrors change you a little bit, and that ties in with Purim, because this whole masquerading aspect of Purim, many people dress up as something they would like to be, kind of working out a fantasy. I had one of my children, he dressed up as Mozart, and another dressed up as a judge, and another as a lemon tree. I don't know why he aspired to be a lemon tree, but so, and they say that the most popular costume among the Haredi boys is a soldier, among the Haredim. So
Weird.
the little kids are showing their aspirations. And so that's what these women were trying to show their husbands. They could be something else. They could look like a prince. Now, here's a copper mirror that was found in South Jerusalem in Ramat Rachel a few years ago by archaeologists, and it dates back 2 centuries. So they really did have copper mirrors. Now, water acts as a mirror, as a reflecting, and just to show you again this idea that the mirror or the mirroring changes something. This is a Monet and then a Van Gogh, and you see that whereas this castle or this spire is straight, in the water it comes out wavy. In Van Gogh's sailboats, they come out different in the water when they're reflected. And you see this in art. Here's a picture that I took from my window. My windows face the Mediterranean Sea. We're right on the cliff. Now here's the sun at sunset, and the reflection, I could explain it with the physics of water, but you see the reflection is not a ball of sun.
The
Right.
reflection makes it look even more beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was very proud of this photograph that I made.
Oh.
Very good.
Now, something is being reflected. Can you guess what is being reflected in the water here? Guess it's the poles of these boats. You see, but the water makes the straight poles wavy. So these reflections change things. And then the other picture, it's so wavy that you get no reflection. So just, again, I'm just driving home the point that that mirrors kind of can change you. Here's Narcissus. And this is a, I thought that I had written the name. Make it, I don't know if it's Salvador Dali is the next one. I'll look it up. I forget the name here, but obviously this is a funny kind of a mirror.
Yeah.
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 Sure, maybe.
This is Salvador Dali. The swans turn into elephants, or the elephants turn into swans. Depends. You see, here's a swan and here's an elephant in the reflection. It's Salvador Dali. These are very famous paintings that have mirrors. This one is Jan van Eyck, and the mirror in the background is reflecting certain aspects of this couple. And here, there's a mirror. I think here's the mirror in the back here, and he's painting the reflection of this couple in as their back is being reflected. It's a complicated. It's the most famous painting containing a mirror. It's a puzzle. I don't want to go into it because I want to get back to the psukim. So that's as far as Purim goes. Now, let's now get into Pesach. The Tanchuma said the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty. That is a verse from the very, very beginning of Exodus. In the beginning of the whole book of Exodus, the Jews went down 70 people, and they just were bursting at the seas. There was a population explosion. In verse 7 of the first chapter of Exodus, from what it says, this is simple Hebrew. Could somebody read it?
ובני ישראל פרו וישרצו וירבו ויעצמו במאוד מאוד.
Okay, and then you have here the English. Now, Rashi, this verse appears in the Midrash Tanchuma describing what happened after the mirrors and then the husbands, and they became pregnant, and they children of Israel multiplied. Now, why does Rashi say they had 6 in a womb? Shisha b'keres echad. Well, in the Hebrew, how many words do you have?
Oh, yeah, right there, six words.
Right, Paru, Vishutsu, V'yirbu, V'yatzmu, Bim'od, Ma'od. 6 words to describe their increase. So the Rashi says they had 6 in a womb. Again, he's solving a problem. The kushia here is, again, it seems to be a little bit redundant. Ma'od, Ma'od, and I mean, why do you need so many words? And so he's harking back to that story about the mirrors, in which God was so pleased that the women took the initiative that the rest of the Midrash says Shisha b'keres echad, and then some people say Shtei Misrei b'keres echad, that really they had 12, not just sextuplets, but I don't know what the word would be for 12, having 12, a set of 12 twins. But it says 12 because each one is in the plural. So because each was in the plural, so it's 6 times 2, 12. So again, we're not talking about biology or obstetrics. We're talking about a concept that this whole mirror episode was something very positive. So now we're going to get to Pesach. That verse actually appears in your Haggadah. So now you have 4 weeks to prepare, and you'll star at your Seder. You'll shine. You'll because you can tell this whole mirror story. You might have to censor some parts of it if there's little kids there. But you could just say they had a lot of babies. And now, where does this appear in the Haggadah? After the 4 questions, then you have the story of the Jewish history in 4 minutes. Like it's that Abraham, and then it goes to Jacob and Lavan, and then the children of Israel go down to Egypt, very few in number, and then they come out, I think 600,000. So how do you explain that? So in the Haggadah, you have this phrase. I'll show you where to find it, and you now can take your Haggadah and circle it already. Prepare for the Seder. If you have trouble finding it, I'm sure Mike could help you find it. It's Vayihi Sham the Goy, and they became a Goy, meaning of a big nation. So, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty. So then you could explain Shisha B'ker Sachad, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least in Hebrew. Shisha B'ker Sachad. Now, this is where you'll find it. After the 4 sons, it talks about Abraham. And then you have the song V'hi Sha'amda. Do you sing that? V'hi Sha'amda, V'hi Sha'amda Lavota. So that's when you start to get ready for your piece. Because after the V'hi Sha'amda, it talks about Jacob and Lavan, the Aramean, tried to wipe out the Jews. And then you get to this sentence, and they went to Egypt only a few, 70. Then there was business of Pharaoh, and they came out many. And then, so that's when you have these 6 words, Uvnei Israel. See, I put them in color. Increased abundantly, multiplied, waxed, exceedingly mighty. 6 words. So now you can say, how did they go from 70 to 600,000 in only such and such number of generations? Well, it was using these mirrors. And here, now you can start to tell the story of the mirrors. You could say, well, this Rashi explains, and these 6 words appear in your Haggadah. Just look for this sentence that begins, Vayihi Sham the Goy. Goy meaning nation, not today's meaning of a non-Jew. And so mark it for yourselves. And then you can tell the story of the mirrors with more detail or less detail. And then you can even have an activity. You can hold up a tablespoon here like this, or a serving spoon. Here, like this. And you can ask. After you tell them the story of the mirrors, and then you can explain how mirrors can make you look good, they can change you, they can make you thinner or fatter, they can make you have a glow. So and just to keep children awake, you can say, which side, no, I made a mistake. Doesn't make you, which side makes you smaller and which one makes you upside down, and let them guess. Do you know, by the way? Do you know you have the convex and you have the concave side, that's what the liquid is, and the convex side is the outer side. Which one makes you upside down? You better practice before you bring this up at the Seder. You don't have, no one has a spoon handy. The concave side makes you upside down, and the convex side makes you a little bit smaller.
Wait, say again, the concave is the one where the soup is?
Yeah, it's caved in.
Yes.
Oh, caves in. Okay, that's
it's
a good
caved in.
As you view it, yes, as you view it.
It definitely works.
Have you tried it already?
I just did.
Good for you. Okay. You have to sometimes polish if it's silver or, whatever. A tablespoon could work also, but you got to polish it beforehand. Or give out some spoons. Or maybe they have a spoon at their side. So you ask them and then see, and then raise their hand. Who says which side makes you upside down? And then you can see who raises his hand. And then at the end, you give prize to the ones who get it right. You can also bring, for the makeup mirror also distorts your face a little bit. It enlarges it. those makeup mirrors, and you can do different things with mirrors. You can, I don't know, maybe find a piece of copper, and whenever I've given this lecture abroad, and I bring my copper mirror, and I always get a lot of problems at the
It's
detector,
security. Sure, it's
security. How do I start to explain? Well, this is just for my lecture about copper mirrors. It's the Bible, and I get a lot of problems with this. Okay. So, say here, the concave is to upside down, and the convex is the outer side. That makes you a little bit
Distort you
smaller.
vertically, yeah. Distort you vertically, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they use in a rear view mirror to make things a little bit smaller, so you can see everything that's behind you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so what did we do? We solved the difficulty, the kushia, in the first, and he made the basin of copper from the mirrors of the crowding women who crowded. We changed crowding women to women who raised crowds, and then they were crowding at the door. And Rashi cites the Midrash Tanchuma, which is very colorful, and it livens things up. They use the mirrors to raise crowds, even 6 at a time. And they, of course, mirrors can make you look better or even worse. But in a fun, remember Fun House would have
Yeah,
these crazy
they
mirrors.
don't have those anymore.
No,
Yeah.
oh no. Anyway, the women use the mirrors to make the husbands better, glowing, and without any creases, without the schmutz on their face. And Rashi says that the reason that they increased so abundantly was they had sextuplets and therefore increased. And then the Haggadah refers to that increase, and that you can bring your mirrors in. Now I see that I still have 3 minutes left. So what I've heard this shiur from Nechama, but she didn't bring in the art and Salvador Dali and Velázquez and actual pieces of cover. But she did do something else. She brought in Ibn Ezra. Ibn Ezra was a commentator in 1100 after Rashi. He doesn't agree with Rashi. He says the women felt, oh, we don't need these mirrors anymore. We're going to crowd around the door of the Mishkan, the door, to hear shiurim, to hear drashot, to hear sermons, to pray. We don't have to bother fixing ourselves up. I could send you the actual text of the Ibn Ezra. Then the Nechama would say, what, in a few words, what's the difference between Rashi's and the Midrash view of mirrors versus Ibn Ezra, who says, oh, the women threw them away because they don't need them anymore? How does Rashi view the mirrors versus how Ibn Ezra views a mirror? Shammai, you heard in many shiurim of where is Shammai?
Yeah, I heard it, so I want to let others try.
Oh, let the others. Yeah, she wouldn't let people answer out loud. She would give each one a little tiny piece of note paper, and you had to write down. Rashi sees the mirrors as Ibn Ezra sees the mirrors as and then you'd have to write your answer down.
Rashi had a more realistic view of human nature, certainly of female nature. Ibn Ezra thinking that women would just say, oh, we're going to just concentrate on the higher things and the heck with the rest of it.
Yeah. So if we put that into just 2 words, Rashi sees mirrors as positive.
Yeah.
And then Ibn Ezra sees mirrors as negative. I mean, basically that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you want to,
that the mirrors are taking away from a higher purpose.
right.
That's
but, yeah.
and
Also-
Rashi is saying, it's okay to not only is it okay, but it's encouraged.
Right. Something
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also
somebody else had a
mirrors-
comment.
Mirrors can be a form of vanity. Looking, at yourself in the mirror is a form of vanity, and that's a negative.
So if you use the vanity for a good purpose, that's hopefully the
Entice
Jewish
your
women were using
husband.
for good purpose, rather. Ibn Ezra sees, we don't need them, whereas the women were giving them away because they were precious to them, and they wanted to give something precious and important. So anyway, now you've got something to talk about both for Purim and to work ahead in Pesach, and just find that passage after the Vishisha Amda, a few lines after that, you'll find that Goy Gadol, that was the one that first you'll be able to find it and mark it for yourselves, and that's where you'll go on stage with your mirror story and your little mirror exercise and holding up the spoons, etc. So
You can add a mirror to the Seder, please.
That would be.
yeah, okay.
All right.
All right. So
Thanks,
I'll say
Mom.
good-night for now.
Yasher
And have a
koach.
Freilich-
Yasher koach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Freilich
Thank
Purim.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.